Sleep Token's second EP, aptly named 2, saw the band spread their wings and set up the universe we've come to love in the album. This EP was the last thing I listened to by them after discovering the band, and I regret not listening to it sooner. 1 may have laid the foundations, but 2 is where the trademark themes of deities and worship really find their feet. So let's dive in and explore 2. Just quickly before we do, if you love Sleep Token and all things alternative music, then be sure to subscribe, as there will be plenty more where this came from. Let's go ahead and earn it by diving in to 2. First up off of 2, we have Calcutta. Calcutta is a city in the West Bengal state of India, near the border with Bangladesh. Calcutta translates to Field of Kali, who is the goddess of time, death, and destruction. I'm sure this track can only go well for Vessel. Let's find out. The track opens on an electronic sound coming in sharp pairs, which are soon joined by the opening lyrics of this track. I am caught, tangled in, wrapped and quartered, tripping up over time lived again. For just a moment, missing pieces find me. This is the first time in Sleep Token's discography where the lyrics begin to feel like worship. He is directly addressing his lover, known as Sleep here. Vessel is entirely under this woman's spell, as he is so deeply engrossed in everything she does. Quartered was an interesting choice of wording to flip this a little though, as it takes us back to medieval torture, saying that this obsession isn't healthy. In the very brief moments when she acknowledges him though, Vessel feels complete, as if everything he was looking for came home. Those moments, however, remain only brief. This takes us to a pre-chorus where we build on the foundations that were just laid. I sweat and I ache for your eyes, and the way you breathe. Vessel is in so deep here. He is obsessed with every little detail about her, big and small. This leads us into the chorus, which is short and delivered slowly, just like the rest of the song has been so far. And I wake saying your name, and I wake saying your name. Vessel awakens from his slumber. After dreaming of his lover, he awakens saying her name. No matter if he is awake or asleep, in the busiest room or all alone, Vessel is thinking of his lover. He is obsessed in a way which is most definitely unhealthy, but also really cute and romantic at the same time. Like, what person doesn't want to be obsessed over like that? We take a brief moment to reflect on what we have so far, as the lyrics take a break and we are left with that doubled up synth tone once again. And after a short pause, we get our second verse, where things really start developing. You are more than warm belief, melting skywards, more than silence broken. The love that Vessel and his lover share is more than just a feeling or a belief. This is pretty massive given entire religions are founded on the principle of belief. He proceeds to double down on this with the final line here. The solemn vow of silence is taken by monks, and breaking it has serious repercussions and is often seen as failure in these cultures. Vessel love is still greater, even than shame on a cultural level. He just doesn't care. He loves this woman. The music in the background now builds a little as the electronic drum joins us for the second half of this track. I'm whole again, just for a moment till the morning comes. Vessel seems to be able to rest and take his mind off his lover consciously. However, once he falls asleep, he starts dreaming of her again. Given this flows perfectly into our next repetition of the chorus, we can see that she creeps her way back in time and time again. He's in so deep he doesn't even realise. After this chorus, we transition into the bridge where things start to shift, both lyrically and musically. Oh, she said you'd better believe it. I said you don't know. Vessel had a friend or a family member ask him how committed he was to this woman, and he told them they have no idea just how much. The music now evolves into a nice rock sound, which is definitely on the softer side for Sleep Token, as we're treated to the second half of the bridge. Oh, you said you'd better believe it. I said you don't even know. Vessel's lover has now asked him directly, as he responds even more enthusiastically. She has absolutely no clue just how in love with her he is. Romance may not be dead after all, folks. This takes us into another instrumental, where we stay with the softer instrumental to begin with. This doesn't last long though, as after 15 seconds, we are treated to the heavier instrumental that we know and love from the band. A very fast 45 seconds later, the music cuts, and we slow right back down again, for the third and final verse of this opening track. Time lived again, for just a moment. Missing pieces find me, and I'm whole again. For just a moment, missing pieces find me. Lines similar to this have been sprinkled throughout this track, but I intentionally never went deep on them knowing this one was coming up. Usually when you're in love, you would say the other person makes you whole, but Vessel is saying the opposite here. Vessel loses a part of himself when he is with his lover, and is able to temporarily get them back when they're apart. A little bit of advice for y'all: don't lose yourself for someone else. It's never worth it. These previous lines repeat twice, with whole again being repeated twice more at the very end. We may be lyrically done with this track, but there's still 2 minutes to go. as has become familiar on these EPs. Right after the final lyrics, we are left with the doubled up tone once again, but instead of being electronic, this feels more like a tribal drum. After 20 seconds of this drum and some haunting synths, Sleep Token deliver once again. A massive metal instrumental surges through and hits you right in the feels, especially with the wailing vocals layered behind it. It's very clear from this track Vessel loves this woman, but he so desperately wants to be whole again. These brief moments of bliss are not sustainable. He just wants to be permanently whole. The instrumental keeps going right through until the end, slowly fading out in volume and giving us a second to breathe before our second track. Speaking of that second track, we have it here with Nazareth. Nazareth is the largest city in the northern district of Israel and another notable location in religion. Nazareth was a home of Jesus Christ. Not sure if you've heard of him, he's a pretty big deal though. As for this song, it's the most streamed off of this EP, but not my personal favourite. You'll have to wait for that. Let's hop into the track and see if there are any links. We open on a slow keyboard before we get our opening lyrics. And I'll see you when the wrath comes, knocking on your bedroom door with money, building you a kingdom. We have a lot of religious language in here. Vessel is willing to be here in her darkest moments, whilst also anticipating that being with her could bring about dark moments for himself. Vessel is back at her door, willing to pay whatever the price may be to be allowed back into her life. He is sure he'll be allowed back though, as he is going to give her everything she wants in order to prove his worth. This is a very slippery slope of devotion we see Vessel on here. Let's see if he can keep it on track, or if he's going to spin out and lose control. Dripping from the mouth, I'll show you what you look like from the inside, and I'll see you when the wrath comes around. Vessel can tell that she likes what he's offering, as we get the image of her drooling at the prospect of it. He's holding the mirror up to her here, but also weirdly to himself. He is so obsessed with her that he no longer knows his identity out with her, so he's actually showing her what she has done to him. The person that is inside her did this to him. This time, the wrath coming round feels much more like a threat rather than a promise of devotion to his lover. It's no longer I will be there for you in your darkest moments, but instead I will be a part of those tough times. He knows it's coming, as our conflicts always do. It's a matter of when, not if. This relationship is seriously not healthy for either of them. Let's see how it develops as we get to our chorus. Tonight, 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 you have the answer. Tonight, 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 you have the answer. There's a lot of emphasis on the fact that it's tonight. This eliminates the past and the future and leaves us just with the present. Vessel truly believes his lover has the answers to all of his problems, but that's a lot to expect of somebody. Have you ever met somebody with the solution to all of your problems? If you have, please get them in touch with me, as I've never heard of that. This takes us into our second verse, but the lyrics take quite the turn here. Let's load the gun, make her eat tape in the bathroom mirror, see if she can guess what a hollow point does to a naked body. This is some pretty graphic imagery here. I'll need to be a little careful with everyone's favourite terms of service. There's some very threatening imagery here. Talks of being held at gunpoint and guessing the impact a bullet would have on the body. The hollow point mentioned here is the bullet, known to expand on impact and cause some real damage. This imagery develops more in the second half of this verse. Let's fuck her up, manifest pain at the core of pleasure. I'll see you when the wrath comes around. Even more that I need to dance around as far as the terms of service go here. You're really testing me, Vessel. The key thing to focus on for me is the last two lines. Pain and pleasure is something that we see a lot in Sleep Token's music, often blending together into some weird concoction. Vessel himself doesn't know the difference, as his relationship with his lover is giving him both. Once again, Vessel is threatening to be there when the wrath comes around. This is sounding messier and messier as we go on, and the chorus repeats itself now just to add to it. He still believes she has the answers to all his problems, even after everything we've just heard. One thing to remember is this song has stayed in the same place the whole time, with just some gentle building on the final chorus there. That cuts though, as we are left with the deep bass drum thumping away as the bridge repeats over the top of it. Let's load the gun, they won't be missing you. They won't be missing you. These lyrics carry the meanings they had before, with they won't be missing you taking the back seat in the mix here. This repeats 3 times before it gets a little tweak. Added into the previous repetitions is see you when the wrath comes, again in the back of the mix. Just had to sneak that threat in there, you know. This is repeated twice before we get the moment that you've all been waiting for. The 2.5 minute instrumental at the end. We don't have to wait long at all for the massive sound to demand your attention, as it comes through after a brief pause at the the end of the lyrics. There is another brief pause after a minute and a half where I transition to a more gent style instrumental for the final minute of this track. I know I said this isn't my favourite track off this EP, but it's definitely my favourite instrumental off of it. Speaking of favourite tracks, what's yours off of this EP? Let me know in the comments below, but for now though, let's dive into mine. Last, but very much not least, we have Jericho, which, as I mentioned earlier, is my favourite of these tracks. Jericho is a city in Palestine near Jerusalem and was the town first attacked by Israel under Joshua in the Bible. Let's see if that has any relevance to this final track. We enter on some slow, deep synths which are intermittently joined by some quicker electronic sounds. After around 30 seconds of this fun, ambient introduction, we're giving our opening lyrics of this track. Tread ancient water, salt, like I sink, down like precious stones. Vessel's lover is treading water, surviving the dangerous environment in relative comfort. These seas are not new, but familiar territory to both of them. They're used to the danger they put each other in. Vessel, on the other hand, is sinking, but it's not being framed as a failure or drowning. Precious stones are meant to fall to the bottom, but that doesn't take away from their value. Vessel may be drowning at the moment, but still believes he can be of value to his lover. Just needs her to be willing to bring him to the surface with her. This takes us to a brief refrain, which leads perfectly into the chorus, so we'll cover them together. Until I wake, I dine on old encounters. Until you taste like new flesh. You taste like new flesh. You taste like new flesh. Say my name again. This is another eating metaphor from Vessel. He really loves dropping these in. I reckon he's a foodie. While Vessel is asleep, he's able to feed his love for her off the memories that they have together. Here we get a brief perspective switch for me though. Another thing you get accustomed to when you listen to the albums. This chorus comes from his lover, Sleep, who literally uses Vessel as a vessel for her. She feeds off his obsessive love for her to the point she almost craves it. She even asks him to say her name again as she gets a power kick out of this. This chorus is a massive window into the future and frames the power dynamic in this relationship perfectly. Fold secrets in the sweat like I swallow years beneath this bed. Vessel is telling his lover to hide their secrets in amongst the stress and strains of their relationship. He compares it to how he buries all the problems he feels from the relationship under the bed. This is just an attempt to stop these things from ruining their relationship. Little life lesson here, burying things doesn't solve anything. Talking them through with people does. You won't believe how much better you'll feel if you do. This takes us back into the frame once again, but this time it transitions into a pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is where Sleep Token decides that this track needs to be kicked into gear, as a driving guitar pushes its way forward and demands your attention. At the same time, Vessel punches home the lyrics to the pre-chorus. Until I wake, I dine on old encounters. Until there's something in the way you lay, enough to make the dead switch graves, you take your leave. Vessel's lover has an incredible presence, to the extent that she impacts even the dead. She has an energy that just draws people towards her in an undeniable way, even the dead. The final line demonstrates that power she has. It's up to her when and where she goes. It's as if those around her should be thankful for whatever time they get with her. This sets the power dynamic perfectly for the albums that are to come. She has it all and he grovels at her feet. Back to the track though, as we get another repetition of the chorus, but this time with those heightened instrumentals that we were just introduced to. After this chorus, the music slows back down again for the bridge though. The bridge is relatively simple, as there's just a repetition of "my hands are not worthy" 5 times. Vessel is quite literally worshipping this woman. He sees her as a deity on a pedestal, just grateful to even be in her presence. Doesn't even think he's good enough to touch her, never mind be loved by her. After the second repetition, we hear "Until I wake, I dine on old encounters" in between every line. This really emphasises how much Vessel is living in the past with this relationship. He just doesn't seem to be getting anything from it now, but he's in too deep. After the final repetition of "my hands are not worthy," we get to the heavier, chunky instrumental that we all love from the band. Over the top of this awesome, genty instrumental, the repetitions of "Until I wake, I dine on old encounters" come to the front of the mix. After these come to an end, the heavy instrumental cuts back out and we are left on a single, high-pitched keyboard which sees us out of this EP. And just like that, the journey of 2 is complete and the stage is set for the albums to come through and drive Sleep Token into the limelight. Don't run away just yet though, as if you love all things Sleep Token lore, then you will love my breakdown of their first EP, 1, which you can see on screen now. Thank you for watching, I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, it would mean the world if you subscribe to the channel, and while you're down there, why not leave a like? Let me know down in the comments below where 2 ranks for you in terms of Sleep Token's albums and EPs. I think it might be bottom for me unfortunately, but it's still amazing. Until Until next time, thank you very much and goodbye.